When people talk about who is one of the strongest Marvel superheroes, they usually think of Hulk, Thor, Sentry, Gladiator, Captain Marvel, Hyperion, Hercules, or Ares. But what if I told you there's a character that is just as strong, just as capable, and just as popular as those that I've listed? What is up, guys? We're going to be talking about Blue Marvel, and we're going to see just how powerful he is within the Marvel Universe. Let's go. Now, Blue Marvel made his first appearance in Legend of Blue Marvel, issue 1 of November 2008. His full name is Adam Bernard Bashir, and just as a little side note, he was a young man serving his country in the Marines. But when he discovered his powers, he retained an identity and he took up the mantle of Blue Marvel. For years and years, he continued being a superhero, and he was one of the most popular superheroes during his time. Yet, his big secret was that he was an African American, and the government knew, but the general public didn't. So despite the uneasiness of this time period, the government took a precaution and put a spy for Blue Marvel to marry, which ended up being his wife. And in the fight with Anti-Man, his identity was revealed and he was actually a black man. And this was more right during the Civil Rights Movement, where they really didn't like the fact that a black man was a superhero. So the government asked him to step down from being Blue Marvel, but he retained the Medal of Freedom, which he kept after his retirement. Now, he gained his powers as a result of a mutation that came from an unsettling event horizon in the Negative Zone. Now, the Negative Zone is mostly comprised of antimatter, and because of this incident, that Blue Marvel was mutated by this antimatter, and now he's basically an antimatter generator. He can produce and make and project antimatter. So with this, he's basically, like I said, a generator of antimatter. So think of it like as an antimatter generator and reactor. That's basically what his body is. So like 1 gram of antimatter has enough power that it's like equivalent to the bomb that dropped on Hiroshima. So because of this power, he's on the same tier as the Hulk, Sentry, Thor, Gladiator, and Hyperion. And you could say he's a bit stronger because of this antimatter infiltration within his body. But we're going to go a little bit on that, on how powerful and how he's skilled to these characters. So for starters, Blue Marvel would definitely be in those high SRRs of those Herald tiers. And what I mean by that, as I said in my other videos, that Heralds can definitely scale into those multi-solar. You can easily rank them up to multiversal, going off of Silver Surfer or Tyrant. As for Silver Surfer, he has easily shown multi-solar to galaxy level attack potency, and he also shows some universal durability via his hacks and his attack potency, multiversal attack potency, and hacks wise. So for starters, Silver Surfer has easily been able to read an energy from stronger beings such as Unilord, and Unilord, as I said before, is like a Skyfire level being during this time, since he was able to absorb many souls throughout the galaxy, and he has became like a literal soul battery. And Silver Surfer was able to redirect his energy projections and manipulate the souls within his body and capable to destroy him. And because of this backlash, it destroyed the entire solar system. Silver Surfer has also been able to tank the attack from Thanos, which wiped out multiple star systems when he wiped out half the universe, and he was able to tank this with no shields and off guard. It was also stated by Silver Surfer that his energy, if it's misused, it could destroy an entire galaxy. And Silver Surfer is able to somewhat go toe-to-toe with Mephisto, and be able to redirect energy from beings, from Skyfire level beings such as Agent Tenebris. Keep in mind that Agent Tenebris were able to fight on par with Galactus, and Silver Surfer was able to redirect their energy because of this, his ability to manipulate energy. So he does have some galaxy to multi-universal highballs, And because of this, other characters will scale to him, such as Thor and Hulk. Thor and Hulk has easily been able to fight on par with the Silver Surfer and even defeat him on different occasions. And Thor and Silver Surfer are quite comparable in the sense to be able to fight on par with each other and be even to a degree. The Sentry has been able to fight on par with the Thor, and Sentry, even without his Void Amp, has been able to keep up with Thor and overpower him. But with his Void Amp, he was able to utterly defeat him in this regard. So the Sentry definitely would scale above Thor and the Silver Surfer. Even in the World War Hulk event, Hulk was able to fight on par with the Sentry and even stalemate him in this regard, but Hulk got a lot stronger because he got into his World Breaker form. So even in World War Hulk form, he was, and this is like an amp version of his base form, I would say, with World War, he was able to stalemate the Sentry, and his World Breaker, he surpassed the Sentry in this regard. Well, base Sentry. Now remember when I mentioned Anti-Man in my previous video with the Sentry? For those who don't know, Anti-Man was originally a partner with Blue Marvel, and that same accident that gave Blue Marvel his powers also gave Anti-Man his powers. So Anti-Man and Blue Marvel definitely had the same powers and abilities, and in the past, when Blue Marvel was identity released, because of this, it was during the battle with Anti-Man, and Blue Marvel was able to fight on par with him and defeat him. Even during this fight, Blue Marvel said he did not want to kill him, and he did not want to force to use unnecessary means to defeat Anti-Man. But even so, Blue Marvel did defeat him, and later on he retired because of this event. His identity was released, and the government asked him to step down as a superhero. Now, many years passed since Anti-Man first encountered Blue Marvel, and he later on returned to fight the Avengers. During his return, he utterly thrashed Sentry, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Ares, and Iron Man, no death. Keep in mind that you could say that Anti-Man was a lot weaker because of this, because he was imprisonment in the Anti-Matter universe, but you could also say he got a lot stronger because of this. So, because of this, Anti-Man would scale above base Sentry, Ares, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, and Iron Man. And this is the same Sentry that fought on par against World War Hulk, and Ares is comparable to Hercules, who's also fought against Hulk. So he's definitely scales above these multi-solar characters, or base Sentry, multi-solar galaxy. And during this event, Blue Marvel, even though he did not want to fight because the government did him dirty, he fought the Avengers and Sentry at the same time. And when he fought against the Sentry, he literally knocked him out with one punch, sent him all into orbit, and he proceeded to fight against the Avengers too. And then when Sentry came back, they fought again, and because Sentry won, it was mostly because of Blue Marvel exhaustion and his rustiness being retired. So the fact he fought the Sentry in the state he was in, it was able to tank his blows, and was able to KO him for a brief moment, and fight the Avengers at the same time while fighting the Sentry after is pretty impressive. And the way you can scale him above base Sentry is that he was able to fight on par with Anti-Man, and was able to defeat him during the manipulated atomic structure within Anti-Man. Because Anti-Man at this time was being unstable because the antimatter in his body was becoming unstable. And Blue Marvel was able to fight on par with him and defeat him. And this same Anti-Man prior fought the Avengers, including the Sentry, and utterly defeat him. And Iron Man stated that if they had fought him longer, they would have died. So, Blue Marvel, you can definitely scale him above base Sentry, who scales above Bing, who will show multi-solar galaxy level feats. So, Blue Marvel in this regard will definitely be in those multi-solar galaxy level attack potency and durability. Possibly low multi-galaxy. Now, if you want to do some win, you can scale them to characters that have shown universal and multiversal feats, such as Hulk, who destroyed an entire dimension that was the size of a universe, or Doctor Strange saying that if the Void and the Sentry were unleashed, they can destroy the entire universe, such as that, or such as Silver Surfer fighting against some Skyfire level beings such as Mephisto and Unilord, and Agents of Tenebris. And there was also one feat that you could also rank Blue Marvel to, where you fight against Shima Gorath, And Shimogorath in the past fought against classic Doctor Strange, who also has shown some multiversal feats. But keep in mind that Shimogorath in this time was, when he's in the regular world, he's a lot weaker than he is when he's in his dimension. A lot like Dormammu and Mephisto. But just to be fair, we're just going to lowball and say he's like multisolar to Galaxy's level. Consistently. Blue Marvel also mollywopped the hell out of King Hyperion, and this same King Hyperion fought against beings such as Hulk, Thor, and even Galactus in his own reality. But we really do not know how powerful these characters were, since most of these fights were off panel, and we do not know how he was able to do these means of feats. And you really can't say they scaled to the main 616 timeline, because if that were really true, Blue Marvel would not have been able to defeat him, neither would the Juggernaut or the Swamp Thing. So you really can't scale him higher than Galactus going off of his feats, because you don't know how powerful that version of Galactus was, or the version of Thor or Hulk he defeated. You could really say they were a lot weaker because his feat contradicts him. His feats in his timeline, well, his own reality, contradicts his feats in the main 616, because he got completely defeated by Blue Marvel and the other various superheroes. So what we really can say is that King Hyperion will be in those higher level tiers as Thor, Hulk, and the Silver Surfer in the main 616. So to top this off with the speed, he does have a measurable speed, scaling off of the Sentry, who is able to react to Thor and Hulk, who is able to react to the Silver Surfer, which they've shown immeasurable speed, able to travel through time with his sheer speed multiple times. Along with Thor, he's also traveled through time with his sheer speed. And the Hulk able to react to these beings along with the Sentry. And since Sentry fought against Blue Marvel and Blue Marvel is able to react to him, he's able to react to the insane speeds also. So Blue Marvel would have immeasurable speed going off of Thor and the Silver Surfer and also Sentry. So to close this video off, Blue Marvel definitely is known to be underestimated, and I want to see more of him in his own solo series if he ever has one. But to end this, he does have multi-solar to Galaxy level attack potency and durability consistently, and you can also use the wink I said prior. But that's been the video for today. If you liked the video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Also comment down below. I did my best to power scale Blue Marvel, but I also will do some more power scaling videos. Now I will also be doing some versus battle too in the later future. But with that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.